Alright, well, that is a modified cap end. This is where you can see I lathed off the original mount. I ended up center drilling that out with and tapping it out to a 1032 screw. You don't have to tap it out. You can just drill it out just a little. You're going to need a standard heim that's cut down, and that figure ends up being roughly, say, 8.3 millimeters. You're going to need a aluminum spacer. These are 1/4 20 by 1/4 20, and it is threaded for a 1032 all the way. Make sure it's all the way till it's bottomed out. There we go. That should leave you with roughly 3.5 mils, something like that. At this point, we screw on or pass through the cap. Yep. And now, this is important, is to blue Loctite this. I wouldn't suggest red Loctite. I like the idea of red Loctite, but you'd never be able to take it apart. So a little bit blue Loctite. There we go. Make sure it gets on the threads. Once you got your Loctite, screw that bad boy in. Now the thing about this guy is I start him off with a 3/8, but he'll bottom off before he actually gets tight. The socket will bottom out. So I use some small needle nose pliers, and make sure you get in there maybe a little bit bigger so it gets a little more torqued in there. There you go. And maybe a little love. Ooh, and now that's it. Right, so you got that put together. Oh, there it is. All put together. Now, how does that not leak, you say? Well, the beauty about these shocks is they do use a diaphragm, and it is important that you have shocks that use diaphragms, or else they will leak. So make sure you install the diaphragm. Make sure it's nice and seated all the way around. Voila. Okay, now the next is putting this together, the shaft into the body. Pretty standard. The only difference, because I did get the 124 millimeter truggy shocks, rear truggy shocks off of a Hot Bodies HPI. They were a little long, so what I did is I laid down a little nylon spacer that goes over the shaft. And be honest with you, I do not remember. 7.84 millimeters, I'm sure. Let's see what that ended up being. It's about 3/8 of an inch or so is what I did. It's drilled out to have a 4 millimeter hole, and it was roughly 3/8 of an inch in diameter. So this little spacer goes over the shaft all the way butted up. As you can see, it doesn't oh yeah, there we go. As you can see, it does not restrict the oil flow. There you go, you see that? No oil flow restriction. So with that said, just feel free to easily work your piston in. Voila, all the way in. That shortens up the shock by, like we said, a little less than 3/8 of an inch. If I remember correctly, I did write it down. I want to say it was 0.30 inches is what that spacer height was. Now we can, now the shock end. The shock end has a little ball end on it. So what you got to do is you got to ream it out to accommodate this little bronze spacer washer. The bronze washers, I believe I got them in 3/4 long, and I had to cut them in half, and that should have yielded me 2 3/8. What is it? No, they're 1/4 inch, or less than 1/4 inch. They're 5.46 mil, or roughly 215 inches. That's not a critical number. You can see that was 264, which is nominally 1/4 inch. And then I did ream these out with a 0.188 reamer I have. 0.188 inches is roughly 3/16. So ream that guy out 1/4 inch for the outside diameter of this guy, and then the inside diameter of that guy, you ream him out to 188, and that will slip over the 10/32 screw, which is 3/16. Then you go ahead and press that in. Get a little, there you go, a little love tap, and now he's all the way in. Perfect. Now, and obviously you just screw this bottom end in. Like I mentioned before, I use a little lever here to clamp down on the shock shaft. Let me screw it all the way on. Appropriate oil in, and go ahead and screw the top on. Maybe. There is a bleed screw. There is a bleed screw on these guys right there. When you go fill it to oil, what you do before you completely cap it, you go in about halfway of the shock travel, and then you go ahead and crank it down. It'll bleed out, and that should give you a little bit of rebound. You're gonna need WCM DRX shock springs. This one is full size, which I actually don't run the full size. I run the shorties, but a full size will fit you put the collar retainer, the shock retainer on the bottom. Ta-da! One bona fide shock. And there you have it, one bona fide 1/8 scale shock that was converted to quarter scale use. Let's have a gander. Overall, eyelet to eyelet center lines, we are 5 inches. Is what I think I built this one out to be. Yep. That bad boy is 5 inches eyelet to eyelet. I think he's actually a little larger. That converts over to 127 millimeters. I know they sell 112, I believe, is the next step down. How far down would 112 be? So at 112, that would put you just shy of 4.5 inches. So it's up to you to figure out what shock would work for you. Like I said, these are the 124s, and I do shrink them down by about 3/8 of an inch. So yeah, I don't see why a 112 wouldn't work out. If anything else, you can probably get a 3/8 tall collar to make up the difference, that last 1/8 inch or so difference. Oh, one last thing. I actually use the WCM Shorty. The shorty springs. In order to make the shorty springs work, you're going to have to get these spacers that Barth Products puts out, or you can get them straight from WCM. But the little collar goes in your under, and little shorties going like so. You tighten it up, and there you go. You notice that my gold spring here is marked with enamel. The reason why I do that is actually there's 2 gold springs, or pardon me, 2 sets of gold springs. One is, I think there were 26 pounds if I'm not mistaken, which are the ones that I ended up having to identify with enamel. And then there's 16-pound gold shorties. Don't ask me why, but this helps me keep track of which is which. All the springs that I have that have the enamel pink on them, that lets me know they're the heavier of the set. So I believe the silvers are 24 and 14. There's coppers that I believe are in there, maybe 18 and 28. I'd have to check, but point is, that's how I identify it.